In this video, we're talking about what to do when you start a business. There are 6 key steps that you must have in place that are critical when it comes to how to start a successful business. These steps are easy and they're simple, but the problem is many entrepreneurs overlook them because they don't realize how critical they are. So I am going to walk you through the process to step by step start your business using these 6 key principles. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want more entrepreneur advice like this. All right. The first step that I always tell my clients when it comes to how to start a business online or how to start a business at home is that you must start immediately tracking your expenses and of course your income. Now that may shock you that your first step is going to be to start tracking your expenses. But this is why, because you want your business to be number one, getting all the tax deductions possible when it comes to tax season. And number two, you want your business to start off on the right foot of financial success. Because why are you even starting a business? To succeed financially, I'm sure. And that comes with you must monitor your money coming in and your money going out. So the key thing here is that so many times when somebody decides that they want to start a new business, it's kind of conceptual to them. They start kind of dabbling and figuring out how to do it. They know they want to start a business, but maybe they're not quite sure which avenue to take yet. But when you make that decision, there's expenses that start happening right away. You might start purchasing tools to learn how to start a business. You might start purchasing software like maybe QuickBooks or something for having your own website. There's expenditures that start right at the very beginning when you make that first decision. And these expenses can get overlooked when it comes to tax time, so that you are not getting to claim that as a tax deduction, which means you're way overpaying on your taxes at tax season. But then also, you want your business to be able to show that those are basically startup costs. And those startup costs can add up over time, but if you're not tracking it, you don't even realize it. And all of a sudden, it's coming out of your own pocket rather than your business being able to cover those expenses itself as you start earning an income. So this is the point of time where you are starting to separate, okay, I have a business, I want to start a business, and it's going to be able to earn income and pay for its own expenses without having to come out of my personal pocket. So you always want to start with the end in mind. And that's why we start tracking that. Understand, tracking your expenses does not have to be hard whatsoever. There is a really simple tool. You can use Excel, you can use Google Sheets, you can pay for a service for something like QuickBooks to start just writing down, documenting. Oh my gosh, you can even just write it down with pen and paper what you are doing. But what I tell my students in the 5-minute bookkeeping program is that with the spreadsheet that I have in that program, you're able to just enter in the bare minimum of information and it's collected throughout the year so that your tax prep is already done. You're constantly automatically monitoring what your profit or your loss is for your business from day one by doing that. So you really want to make sure you get in, grab Excel, grab Google Sheets, grab QuickBooks, grab a pen and paper, or you can even check out the 5-minute bookkeeping program and grab the tools that are in there to make this easy. Now, I am going to link to a video where I talk about the items that you need to track for tax purposes when you start documenting your expenses and your income. That's going to make your life so much easier when tax season comes around. So make sure to watch that video. It's easy, it's simple. You don't have to know anything about accounting to be able to track your income and your expenses. You don't need to know anything about accounting or be good with numbers when it comes to tracking your tax deductions. You just need a good tool that does all the work for you. And you need to know what to track and what not to track. So make sure to check out that video. Once you're tracking your income and your expenses, then you need to come and decide, do you want to run your business as a sole proprietor or do you want to form an LLC? So what that means to you is, Are you going to just have the business where the money's coming in and going out and you're doing everything in your own personal name and identity? Or are you going to do an LLC where you have a separate entity that is separate from you personally, that is the business? It's transacting the business, it's doing the expenses, receiving the income. It is completely separate from you as the individual. And part of your decision making as you determine, do I need an LLC or not, is going to look at the nature of your business. So if you are somebody who is just an affiliate for a company, maybe you are selling products on behalf of another company, you are just one of their partners, let's say, where you are advertising, you are by word of mouth offering, maybe you are doing home parties and you're selling items. Well, the risk involved with that type of business is very low. There's not really a lot that you yourself as an individual are taking on as a risk. So what I mean there is you likely aren't purchasing products and having that stored as inventory. You likely aren't the one putting the guarantee of the product there. So if somebody's not happy with it, or if somebody has any type of harm or coming after a lawsuit, they're not coming to you as an individual. You are just an affiliate or a partner of another company, a bigger corporation. And so the level of risk there is so much less that it may not make sense for you to have an actual LLC to protect yourself, to have a layer of protection there. So, but on the other hand, if you have a business where if you are in real estate, if you are doing flips or rental property or Airbnb, those are things that have a much higher level of risk that somebody could have a lawsuit and come out against the person or entity that owns that property. And so by having an LLC, you have this layer of protection. Now, an LLC in and of itself, by itself, isn't the end all be all of protection for you. That's why there's all this conflicting information out there of people saying LLCs are pointless, or yes, you must have an LLC. It's because it's just one layer of protection, one layer. It by itself doesn't do much, but as you layer up, it just helps you be protected. It not only helps separate your personal from your business, but it also helps separate your identity. So if somebody is looking for, okay, who do I go after in a lawsuit? They're finding the information on the LLC, not on you, the person, the individual, and your private information. So those are things that you're going to look at. But then another thing to look at is what does the cost, what's the cost that comes into play with having an LLC or starting an LLC? So some states, there's a very low fee. There might be a $25 fee or a $50 fee to form the LLC. And then there's no other fees after that. Some states, there's an annual fee where every single year you are paying $100 or maybe even $900. And so that then becomes a little bit of a roadblock for some people to, maybe I don't want an LLC because I'm doing this more of a hobby. I don't foresee it growing into something big enough to support paying $900 every single year just to have an LLC. So make that decision. In order to find out the cost of forming an LLC and if there is an annual fee, that's super simple. All you have to do is just go to the Secretary of State website for your state. And on that website, there should be a link for information about how to start a business. And in that information, you are going to find what is the fee for that particular state to have an LLC. So once you have that information, then the question becomes, how do I get an LLC? Well, again, you just go to your Secretary of State website and click on the link there to start a business, and it will walk you step by step. It's going to ask you questions to get an idea of what is the purpose of your business, what's your business name that you want to have, and it'll fill out all the information for you. Once the Secretary of State has approved the business, then you are legally an LLC. You are legally a business entity. The third key in how to start a small business is that you want to get an EIN number for your business. You will want this whether you are a sole proprietor or an LLC. And the reason is because a lot of times utility companies or other companies may be asking for your social security number or tax ID number for your business. And whenever possible, you always want to make sure that you are giving a separate tax ID number or EIN number rather than your own personal identification number, your personal social security number, because it's really important that you separate yourself from the business in any way possible. And the reason for this is because if there's ever a lawsuit, which we touched on this a little bit earlier, but even let's say you're in a car wreck and somebody is suing you on your personal side. So they're suing you. If your business is tied to your social security number, if you are not separating your business and personal finances, everything's all together, then the legal system sees you as one entity. And if you are one entity, then if somebody is suing you for a car accident that you had in your personal time, then that person can go after your business income as well, because you are one united entity. And so one way to try to help separate that is to get a separate tax ID number. Of course, having an LLC is an even further level of separating personal and business, but getting an EIN number is really important also. And the good thing is an EIN number is completely free. You just go to the IRS website, which is irs.gov, and you will click on their website to get an EIN number. Again, there's just a few steps, a few questions that you have to answer online, and then you will be, for free, assigned an EIN number, a tax ID number for your business. Really, there's no reason not to do this. It's a very simple step. I even, in my 5-minute bookkeeping program, take clients through each, like even further in depth of this step-by-step, even further in depth. I'm talking through them on what to fill out with their Secretary of State, what to fill out with the IRS for the EIN number to make it as simple as possible so that you're able to do this, no excuses. I want you to have a successful business. I want you to start off on the right foot. So make sure to get an EIN number for your business. It's very easy to do. The IRS website will walk you easily through all the questions, and you will have that number same day. Now, the next step is that you want to open a business bank account. You want to do this whether you have a sole proprietorship or whether you have an LLC. It does not matter. You must start separating your personal finances from your business finances. Not only for what we've talked about before with that layer of protection of if somebody were to ever sue you, you want to show that you are a separate entity, but even further is you want to make tracking your business finances, you want to make tax season as simple as possible. And the way to do that is first and foremost to open a separate bank account for your business. So if you're wondering, do I need a bank account? The answer is yes. No matter what type of business you have, you need to have a business bank account, a business checking account. And I hope this is answering your question of why to open a business bank account. Let me know in the comments if there's any other questions that you have on why should I do this? Why would I need to do this? Because I want to make sure you fully understand that when you have a separate checking account that is solely for business, then that means when tax season comes, you aren't having to sort through all of your checking account and credit card statements for your entire personal life, trying to find a needle in the haystack of, okay, let me remember, what things were for business? Which of these expenses were for personal? No, you don't want to do that. If you just simply open a separate checking account, instantly you have right there everything that's for your business. And the personal finances are kept completely separate. You don't even have to look at those, which means the time it takes you to complete your bookkeeping, to prepare for taxes, is so fast. It's a breeze. So if you're wondering how to open a business bank account, it's very simple. The first thing that I would probably do is recommend you call your bank just in case they have a separate set of information that they require. But generally, what you're going to need to have is, if you have an LLC, you'll need your business name, your tax ID number, and an operating agreement. And an operating agreement, this is something that is just a document that basically outlines the responsibilities of the people who are involved in the business, the people who have ownership in the business. That's something that I provide to my clients in the 5-minute bookkeeping program, is a boilerplate operating agreement. But you can also just do a Google search for templates that are out there so that you can piece together your own, and that the bank will keep that on file. And then of course you'll need an opening balance. So you'll need to be able to put some money in the account. Maybe it's $50, maybe you've got more money that you're ready to invest in starting the business, but just get something in there to get that account open and actually operational. Once you have your business checking account open, the next thing that you want to do is you want to open a business credit card. Now, again, you're going to get people who say don't get a business credit card. You're going to get people that say do get one. My recommendation is that you always get a business credit card. And the reason is because you want your business to start building a credit report so that at some time, if you ever need to get a business loan, it's looking at your business credit report rather than your personal credit report. We want to start making your business entity completely separate from you, which means it has to start building a credit report. Even if you never get a loan, again, we're building that layer of protection to say, hey, my business is completely separate from me. So if you're going after me, you can't touch my business. If you're going after my business, you can't touch me, or shouldn't touch me, shouldn't touch my business. And so this is a way to set up your business for success, to say it has its own credit report. It can, it can function on its own. It's separate from me. And if you are adverse to using a credit card, then only pay one thing a month. Just one thing a month that you pay with that credit card. You can do everything else from your checking account, but by paying one thing with the credit card and paying that credit card off every single month, you are building a great credit report for your business. Now, regardless of how much you use your credit card, you always want to make sure that you are tracking the charges that you put on that credit card the moment you charge it. So you should be doing your bookkeeping every single day. Guys, bookkeeping should only take you 5 minutes or less a day if you're doing it right and if you're using the right tools. And so if you are using your credit card, enter in those transactions daily, just as if you would if you were using your debit card for a transaction. You want to be taking that money out of your available balance so that you are never overspending. You always want to make sure, no matter how much you're using your credit card, that you are paying it off monthly, because you shouldn't use your credit card as a temporary loan. You just want to use it as a tool for purchasing items. Just as you use a debit card, just as you use cash, just as you use checks, this is just a tool for making purchases. And if you need a loan, then go get an actual loan. Your interest rates are going to be way better than using a credit card and not paying that balance off. This is also going to help teach you financial success, financial wisdom, and it's going to spill over into your personal life, which is great. And then the last step for how to start a business is that you want to check with your city and see, are there any business licenses that you need to have in order to transact business. So depending on the type of business you have, you may be required to get a business license. You may not, but that is based on the individual city level. So make sure to reach out to City Hall. Just give them a quick ask. Let them know what the nature of your business is, and they will be able to tell you if you need a license or not. So now that you know what to do if you want to start a business, let's get started with the very first key, which is tracking your income and your expenses. Knock that out of the park today. There's no reason not to. You can check out my 5-minute bookkeeping webinar if you want to get access to the tools that I provide to my clients that will give automated spreadsheets that you can use in Excel, you can use in Google Sheets, and just make it easy as possible. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it, subscribe, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur. And if you're looking for more entrepreneur advice, watch this video on why you don't want to be your own boss, or check out my Bookkeeping 101 playlist for more information on how to make bookkeeping a breeze.